Have you ever felt a heaviness in your bones so deep that no amount of sleep could ever wash it away? A quiet, relentless fatigue that transforms your daily routine into a slow, agonizing crawl. High above a misty harbor town stood an ancient stone observatory. Inside, surrounding by towering shelves of dusty globes and brass telescopes, lived Clara. Clara was the Royal Guild's finest cartographer, tasked with mapping uncharted oceans for incoming fleets. Clara was driven by a single obsessive belief. Her work had to be flawless, and it had to be finished ahead of time. If a map was delayed by even a single day, she felt an unbearable surge of guilt and inadequacy. Every evening, long after the rest of the guild had gone home, Clara sat under the dim glow of an oil lamp, dipping her quill into black ink. Her eyes burned from scanning intricate coastline details. Her wrists ached with sharp pain, but she refused to put down the pen. When her hand shook from sheer exhaustion, she gripped the quill tighter. When her vision blurred, she rubbed her temples and forced herself to draw another line. To her peers, Clara was an inspiration, someone whose dedication knew no bounds. But beneath her neat navy vest, a terrifying transformation was taking root. It started at the tips of her fingers, a cold, numbing sensation that turned her skin an icy, midnight black. The ink from her pen seemed to seep beneath her pores, hardening her flesh like frozen ice. Modern psychology calls this the severe threshold of physical burnout. When emotional exhaustion is ignored for too long, the nervous system ceases to send mental warnings and begins physically shutting down body functions to force compliance. When you refuse to listen to your body's quiet warnings, it will eventually find a way to make you stop. One evening, as a harsh winter gale battered the observatory glass, Clara was racing to finish a master sea chart before dawn. Her body screamed for rest, her pulse racing with silent anxiety. Instead of stepping away from her desk, she drank another bitter tonic and leaned closer to the parchment, speeding up her strokes. A sharp, stabbing cold flared through her hand. Clara gasped in shock. The dark ink frost on her fingers surged violently upward, crawling up her wrist and forearm like black ice. Her right arm grew as heavy as iron. She could barely lift the quill, yet her mind refused to yield. "Just one more chart," she whispered to the quiet room. "They are counting on me." This is the toxic trap of modern productivity. We measure our self-worth purely by our output, treating rest as a luxury we must earn rather than a vital human necessity. By the time the harbor bell chimed 4 in the morning, the icy black frost had reached Clara's shoulder. Her right arm was completely paralyzed, frozen stiff against the mahogany desk. Desperate, she grabbed the quill with her left hand, trying to draw with clumsy, shaking strokes. But as she pressed down, the black ice leaped to her left wrist, locking both arms in place. Lying slumped across her desk, unable to move her upper body, Clara watched the dark frost creep toward her neck. The oil lamp flickered out, leaving her in cold twilight, while the harbor below remained oblivious to her suffering. In that terrifying moment of stillness, a profound truth hit her. The ships would sail whether her map was finished tonight or next week. The world would not collapse if she paused to breathe. She had traded her health, her peace, and her youth to satisfy an endless demand that would never truly care about her well-being. Clara stopped fighting. She closed her eyes, released the mental grip of urgency, and took a slow, deep breath, finally surrendering to the need for rest. As her breathing evened out, a faint warmth returned to her chest. The black frost stopped spreading. Slowly, the dark, icy crust cracked and dissolved back into faint ink stains upon her skin. Her muscles relaxed. For the first time in years, Clara leaned back in her chair and allowed her weary eyes to close, letting sleep take her in the quiet morning light. Your life is not a resource to be burned to fuel the expectations of a world that will replace you tomorrow. Protect your energy. Rest before your body forces you to stop. If you have ever felt this kind of silent pressure in your own life, tell me your story in the comments below, and subscribe to join our journey into the deeper truths of the human mind.